What the fuck's up? Grunge Bible's back, boys. Shut the fuck up Friday. It's podcast time. And just like that, we are back. Another Friday. Another podcast. The Grunge Bible crew is back. Here are your hosts, Ethan Shalloway, joined along with the beautiful Chris Salona.
Oh, and beautiful this week! Wow.
Yeah, you're beautiful this week. The beard is coming in great.
Oh yeah.
We're both wearing beanies, and Chris, it's Halloween weekend. It's getting a little spooky around these parts, so we're here to celebrate that. So, Chris, how is your Halloween week build up coming? I know this is your favorite holiday along with soup season. It could not, it's just like the culmination of all of your favorite things. And Squattober's coming to an end too. So you're firing at all cylinders, right?
Yeah, I wish I was firing at all cylinders. So, my energy levels right now, I know you didn't ask, but I'm telling you anyways.
Well, that's the check-in. It's
all encompassing.
It goes without saying. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, man. This past weekend, it was a sneaky bender action. You know, I was all set to have a nice, relaxing weekend, and then one of my really, really good friends, got notice to me that he was going to be driving through town and was looking for a place to stay and looking for people to go out and be merry with. So naturally we obliged, and we had a nice time, but many withdrawals were made from the fun and the recovery and the sleep banks. So I'm hanging in there today. Today's Monday, so this podcast will come out in 4 days on Friday. But as you said, the beard's coming in. Halloween is here, almost here. And my Squattober journey is coming to an end on the day this podcast comes out. So will I squat 600 pounds? Stay tuned. I don't know if it'll happen, but I will have to keep the people updated. I'll keep you updated, obviously, as well.
Yeah, fun fact about Chris. Last year, he topped out at 585, correct?
I was close, man. I could smell the blood in the water, but then, sometimes it happens that way.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of people right now, that right there, that fact is going to get us like at least 50 subscribers. We're probably going to get a new Patreon because of that.
We're probably going to double our patronage.
Yeah, just like that. People are going to be like, oh shit, this guy can squat a house? All right.
Yeah.
Probably
I am useful to have around from time to time. So
yeah, if you need a fridge to be
I'm your guy.
You did that this weekend too, right?
Yeah, I moved a washing machine. It was a pain in the ass. I'm just the mule, man. Sometimes
you what? You know what? When people obviously ask us to help move all the time, and I had a great. We have a family friend who is really handy, and he gets asked to move too because he's a big dude like us. And he made a great point. He's like, when people ask me to move, I come over and I know I'm asked. I move the big stuff. And he said, just don't ask me to move the little boxes. It's like, that's not why you called me over here.
I want nothing to do with that. You gotta. That's like asking Tom Brady to go play in the preseason. Like, you just don't do that. You save the quarter horse stallions for the big race.
Couches, fridges, washer and dryers, and then
bedroom sets, pianos.
Yeah, I'll move that. But when
filing
that
cabinets, safes.
When that stuff's done, unless
no chairs, no boxes, no microwaves.
Unless I'm under contract, I'm done.
Yeah, we're done. We are completely done. So yeah, man, a lot coming down the chute for me, but life's good, hanging in there. What about you? What's new and exciting in the Shalloway world?
Yeah. Well, I had another good weekend of laying low. I feel like I need some of that in my life. Yeah, I'm trying to really commit to that. And it was good. It was nice. I did work on Saturday because it rained during the week, so it kind of pushed back some of the stuff. And yeah, nothing really planned for this coming weekend. I got a lot of stuff like around Thanksgiving and then into December, so I'm just trying to work and just kind of have my head down low. So nothing too interesting. Yeah, nothing too interesting. I'm just watching my friends do Squattober and just follow along with you guys. But I'm feeling pretty good. The body's feeling good. So yeah, I'm in good spirits, I think. Finally,
Yeah, it's been a while. We paid our dues for quite a while, and now all the good work is coming to fruition. We are about to reap what we have sown all these years.
Yeah. 33 episodes of Grunge Bible Podcast. That's pretty good. Thank you to everybody that's out there listening. If you don't already subscribe, take the leap of faith.
Now's
Today's the day. Do it. Just do it.
Those YouTube numbers, those Apple numbers, those Spotify follower numbers, those are creeping up every single week. So, throw your hat in the ring, man. If you're enjoying us, if you're listening to us on Friday on your way to work or maybe at the office, now's the time.
We get some good response about people that look forward to it on Fridays, and that's pretty awesome, Chris. It's pretty fulfilling, and I think we had some new patrons come this weekend, and I think one was alluded to the last week's episode. It was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And as a matter of fact, we have two new patrons who have decided to join the top tier of the Patreon support program. And the first one is a nice individual from Australia who wrote to us and is choosing to be recognized as a Grunge Bible's fan from Australia. And Ethan, I haven't spoken to you about this, but I'm hereby anointing this person our number one fan in Australia. So apologies to everyone else who's out there, but this individual is hereby the top supporter from the lovely land of Australia.
They were the ones who gave us the suggestion to do the podcast on the Into the Wild movie, actually.
Yes, exactly.
So they've had their hand, they've been following for a long time.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah, it's really awesome when they send that message and they've finally taken that step. It's pretty awesome. And then we have another patron that I think that you won them over single-handedly,
yes,
Chris.
Single-handedly. This one's very important. So
this is why we have hot takes.
Yes, an individual by the name of Zane Doyle has chosen to join the ranks, but we're not going to ever refer to Zane as Zane Doyle ever again because they chose to put their name into the Patreon program as Fuck Soup. So if you'll recall, a couple of weeks ago, Ethan was digging into a nice bowl of soup while we were recording the podcast, and I shared my thoughts that I think
very professional,
very very well prepared, very succinct, and exactly how you'd like to conduct yourself. But evidently, at the time I voiced my displeasure with soup. I still don't believe in it. Nothing has changed in 2 weeks, and apparently, Fuck Soup, the patron known as Fuck Soup, also thinks fuck soup. So thank you to Fuck Soup for supporting this podcast. So our lovely fan from Australia and the detractor of soup, they join a growing legion of top-level Patreon supporters, and those individuals are Jamie Lynn, Victor Schaefer, Shannon Gorgone, Sonny Mashburn, Marianne, Laura Nyreen, Jade Mercado, Alexis Shannon, Release, Sue, and Kayla Jean. So I believe, if my math is correct, I think we're at 12 or 13, but, it depends, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the Patreon money goes towards... We have a few subscriptions to keep the website running, keep the pod being, the hosting sites, couple different file sharing stuff. There's little things here and there, and it adds up. And just like so does the people, a few dollars here and there, it adds up. So we're just doing that. It's like that balancing act. We're just trying to keep it out of our face, basically.
Absolutely. We're listening to the words of Mark Arm. So as the Grunge Bible podcast moves forward, as Ethan alluded to at the beginning of the episode, this is the Grunge Bible Halloween extravaganza. And if you've been paying attention, I am not a fan of Halloween. I think it's bullshit. I don't understand the significance of it. I don't understand the modern celebration of it. The only good thing, in my opinion, about Halloween are the Reese's pumpkins that they sell. But they do that for every holiday, so it's not really that important. So I'm not a fan of Halloween, but we figured, every upstanding, media entity has Halloween or holiday specials. So it's about time we hop on the train. I mean, if Charlie Brown can have a Halloween special, we have to too.
Well, I was about to say that's the best thing that Halloween gave to us is the Great Pumpkin, right?
Absolutely.
Pretty much. I wore my my pirate shirt to. I mean, if you're watching YouTube, you can see it. But I wore my pirate shirt, and actually, I have a picture of a skull on the, on the wall. So I feel like I'm in the Halloween spirit, a little spooky. But I'm excited to, do our due diligence and just talk about the spookiness of the genre and maybe give some top tens or some stuff. And
absolutely,
who knows where this is going to go.
We're driving down an empty road and we've got time to kill and gases in the tank. So last week on the Q&A, we did receive a question as to, how the page will be celebrating Halloween and how, what music we'll be posting. And the answer to the first one was that we weren't going to celebrate Halloween, but now we're making a podcast about it. So how the turntables.
Turns out that we were liars.
Just like everybody out there. So, kind of thinking about this, there's not a lot of Halloween music out there. It's certainly not like Christmas. It's certainly not, like some other things. But I think in the genre of grunge, there are certainly songs, there are artists, and there are bands and music videos that lend themselves to this kind of spooky or creepy or scary ideal. And I think the best way to begin is we'll just cherry pick some songs that we think would land on a nice quality Halloween playlist. And for me, there's only one place that you can start from the genre of grunge, and that's got to be Them Bones by Alison Chains. I mean, that's a slam dunk hit right there. I mean, the title track, I mean, the opening with Lane's screaming vocals and just that ascending guitar riff that Jerry's doing. I mean, it's perfect as far as I'm concerned.
That is a really, really strong contender. That might be the top Halloween song.
Oh, it's got to be the first spoken words are "I believe them bones are me." I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they might be a strong contender for top kind of like eerie Halloween. Like I feel like all the guitar work that Jerry does has really good Halloween vibes. Yeah, that's a great first pick. I like that
totally.
a lot.
And there's a couple things, because I was having similar thoughts when I was just brainstorming some different songs that might fit this mold, and my mind was always going back to Alice in Chains. And I think the way the guitar work was from Jerry, and just like that, the harmonies between Jerry and Lane, I just think the way that they sound, especially when you layered their voices together, and especially Lane's voice and how it interacted with the song, something about it. It's not scary. I don't really think songs can be scary per se, but it is kind of like eerie or apocalyptic, if you will. And I think they were able to do a lot of that, particularly on the the Facelift album and the Dirt album.
Yeah, I think I think they might at first when you first sent me over the prompt and whatnot, I was thinking like, all right, Soundgarden is going to have some spooky and some sludgy stuff that I think would work, but you kind of flipped me real quick to thinking that maybe Alice in Chains has the music. But I think that I don't know exactly where we're going to go with this, but for some reason I feel like Nirvana and Kurt definitely have like the Trick or Treat vibe, that like they would be like, Kurt would be like, all right guys, it's Halloween, like let's go to the neighborhood and like let's dress up, and like I could just feel like Novoselic like knocking on my door in like a sheet, be like a ghost. They would definitely be the type
to engage in some very low level harmless vandalism of Halloween displays. I feel like they're the kind of guys walking around town with rolls of toilet paper to a little teepee action going on. I could see them fulfill that role, and what better time than Halloween? Everyone's outside and
wearing costumes, and yeah,
absolutely.
They were the front runners for getting teepee in the house. I think so. I think you're right.
I just think the shenanigans that those three, and then when Mr. Smear joined the band, I think he would fit right in. I could see Pat 100%. Smear getting in the mix on some of this stuff.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
He's an everyman. He can take care of everything. Another song that came to mind that's kind of another side to that coin, and I don't think I'll have to defend myself super strongly, since I think it'll make sense, but Skinned by Blind Melon, for the sole purpose that it's about a serial killer, and just as the song goes on, it's basically just talking about killing someone and using their body to make various household items. So making a shoehorn out of someone's shin, taking rib cages and making them into coffee tables. And as a bonus point, the song begins with a nice little kazoo run from Shannon Hoon. So I don't necessarily know that a kazoo fits in Halloween. I don't know that it fits in grunge rock or even rock in general, but on Skinned, it definitely does.
Wow. Yeah, that is like some I don't know, Jeffrey Dahmer.
I don't know.
Mike Myers.
I'm sure there's a story. There must have been some particular anecdote that they had heard at the time that inspired this song, And I think they played it on either 120 Minutes or one of the MTV specials, and it was one there on YouTube. There's like an outtakes video where they had done 3 or 4 different runs through the song, and just Shannon working that kazoo. That's really important. Ethan, do you have any history with a kazoo?
I actually do. I have a little bit of a history when when we started playing music together with in the band, and it was 8th or 9th grade. Actually, it wasn't a kazoo. It was a pan flute. The story that I'm thinking of specifically, and we had some pan flutes, like these little like plastic things, and we were playing them in the classroom, and we just would not stop basically. And I remember it was the only. Well, that's not true. It was not the only detention that I got, but it was my first detention that I received because we would not stop playing the pan flutes.
Insubordination.
So it wasn't technically a kazoo.
Here's the thing, though. If you give, how old were you at the time? You said
I was in eighth or ninth. I was in 9th grade. So
okay. 16. I mean, if you're given like a 14, 15-year-old any sort of wind instrument during class, they're not going to stop playing.
Yeah. Dude, kazoos are kind of hard to play. Have you ever played?
I've never played one. I don't think.
I guess I've never really played a woodwind or like a brass instrument. So there's a skill there that I'm sure that you need to have some knowledge of it to. But I feel like it was a little tough the few times I tried to play the kazoo.
Yeah, maybe we could take a lesson or two from Skinned.
There's another song that we played on stage. We did get kazoos out for a song.
That's amazing.
I'll have to come back to it. Yeah. I'll remember exactly.
Yeah, another song from this exercise that I think is a front runner, but kind of for different vibes that Skinned or Them Bones would be. But you had mentioned them earlier, but obviously Nirvana, and I think the one perennial song that would fit this vibe would be Something in the Way. Something in the Way might be the creepiest song from the quote unquote grunge rock genre. Just the picture that it paints. Underneath the bridge, the tarp has sprung a leak, and there's a really good video that I think I've referenced on the podcast before of Butch Vig talking about how they recorded that song. Kurt was playing it on a guitar that I think was missing a couple of strings, and it was detuned to all hell, and he was just sitting there silent, and they couldn't get the take right, and Kurt was talking to Butch. He's like, no, it needs to sound like this, and he's laying down on this couch, and he plays the song super, super soft, and Butch is like, wait a second, and he turned off the air conditioner, unplugged the phones, all that stuff, came in, and was like, we need to record this exactly like you're doing it right now, and Kurt was just barely playing, and it was just something
like whispering the
super
words.
Eerie about it. More so, that's one of the few songs that I prefer the studio version as opposed to like the unplugged version, for example, because I don't think the unplugged environment does it justice, and they were able to, how they recorded that for Nevermind, I think is just so eerie, especially, you can find it on YouTube and in some other places, but even just Kurt's isolated vocals from that are just kind of make your skin crawl a little bit.
Yeah, I know the video that you're talking about where Vig talks about it, and we've posted that before on the page, and yeah, it is extremely eerie. It's like that. It's so he's like it's just like the words just kind of falling out of his mouth, like singing it. That is really quite a creepy.
Yeah, that's like
song.
Psychological thriller movie level creepy, or just like the patented, walking into a dark, empty room or something. And, if you were to hear, there was just like a record player playing that and you're walking into the room, That'd be something.
Yeah, I could see like a broken down, like an abandoned house, and like having that being played while you're like searching through it. That definitely could fit a movie soundtrack. Maybe it did. Maybe it made it on there somewhere. I have one though, and I think that probably it might be on the list as yours. But I think that one of the more, ridiculous kind of hair in the grunge scene has to go with King Buzzo of the Melvins, and I think that we love this. We love the song Boris, and I'm thinking about the one session in the was it the recording studio? Was it in Seattle? I mean the record store in Seattle.
Are you talking about the one solo acoustic?
Yes.
Yes. So there's a video on YouTube of King Buzzo, the great Buzz Osborne, playing Boris solo on an acoustic guitar, and that song he's pretty much just playing the low E string, and it's got to be drop D probably, so it's tuned down, and he's just standing there, just like mashing this one string on his guitar, and he just steps up to the microphone and screams the lyrics, and then he steps away and doesn't play much anymore. And I think it was at a record store if I remember correctly, but
and the lyrics to Boris are really like pretty bizarre and pretty kind of killerish, like it's a killer, she's a killer maker. It reaches in and takes from the back of your mind, I'm not awake, still alive. And like he's just like kind of yelling this through his hair, and it's very it's so disjointed that King Buzzo has to be at the head of the Halloween grunge men, right?
Yeah, I would say, and it's funny that you mentioned this, because on my list of different songs to talk about for this show, I wrote down anything by the Melvins. So pretty much anything fits, and I would say that Buzz Osborne is the leader of this bastion of creepiness. But if there's someone who's second in command and maybe could challenge for the top spot, I don't think you have to look much further than Tad Doyle.
Oh, I know. As soon as you sent this over, I thought of the picture of him holding the huge 32-inch bar chainsaw, and just absolute massive human with just a scary look. Chainsaws are scary. And chainsaws are Halloween.
Tad Doyle's the kind of guy that you call if you have to move a safe, or if you have to move a couch, or if you have to move some heavy operating equipment like a washing machine or something. Like you're not calling him to move a chair, you're not calling him to move a little portable nightstand. Like he's like us. He's one of the heavy hitters you got to call in. But yeah, something about their music, and the music of Tad, and then another band that I was thinking of that kind of fits this just kind of like loud in your face vibe, we've been listening to quite a bit lately, Helmet. I think Helmet definitely in their discography has something, some scary stuff, and that's kind of like the other side of scary, is like it's just so in your face and so assaulting to your ears and your senses that it's just like I got to take a step back from this thing, and I mean the Melvins did that so well.
It's like a flashbang,
and the Melvins did it, Helmet did it, Tad did it. It's just overwhelming.
You know who else does it? Who else has it? It's a little bit. It's like I said, it's like a flashbang of like. I mean, it's a little bit different, but Primus. Primus.
Yeah, in a way.
Definitely has some. I don't know. I feel like some. Like the. I'm trying to think of the theme.
A lot of their music is definitely unsettling.
Yeah.
In the best way possible. It's very unsettling. It just doesn't sound normal. So that could be spooky in its own right. But yeah, it's a lot of these bands, and it's funny too, because a habit that we both have when we're looking at videos or whatnot is to read the comments, and a lot of these bands that we just mentioned, the Melvins, Tad, Helmet, even Primus, and then another band that gets mentioned in this context are Dinosaur Jr. People will consistently say in the comments that those bands that I just mentioned were among the loudest shows they've ever gone to. And I think I read one today from Helmet. It's like I saw Helmet open for Primus in 1994. I couldn't hear for a week.
That's incredible. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I was just thinking of another band. I don't know exactly how, what you have planned out, but what about Tool? Where does Tool fit in this? Because
I cannot believe that I actually did not put anything down for them, but without a doubt,
I mean, Maynard might be the scariest frontman. Period.
I think he might be.
I mean, like, who else is gonna like see through you? Like, I feel like if ghosts are real and they came into the house and looked at Maynard and Maynard looked back at him, I think the ghost would leave. I think that he would be like, Maynard would steal his soul.
Yes.
And
he'd turn the tables.
Yeah, he would. He's more dominant. He's like whatever's above whatever's above like ghosts and ghouls. Like, I feel like Maynard
James Keenan is among that.
Yeah, like he has control over them, and they would just be like, "Oh shit!" Like, there he is.
I absolutely agree. I mean, Tool has to be in the pantheon of it, and especially as you were saying, you know, they were on such a unique level, you know, in the early '90s, and some of those live performances where it seemed like he would just pick an individual out in the front of the crowd and just steal their soul with his eyes.
Yeah, I think that mystifying is like the best word. I feel like you would go in there and there's like an aura with their music. I'm sure there's a lot of Tool fans that are out there, and I understand. I've talked to a few people that have seen shows. I understand that they are a band that are really hard to understand if you are not there or if you've not experienced it. So I'm not going to act like I know anything about what goes on in those concerts, because I know it's very sacred to the people that listen to Tool.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the one thing I understand about Tool is that I don't understand them.
Yeah, I want to make that very clear. I don't want to get any hate.
I don't pretend to understand them.
No, not at all. But so if you're a Tool fan and you disagree, which I don't think that's the case, but I think that they have to be leading. I think Maynard's at the top for grunge band, but there's also somebody else that I was thinking of, and I wonder, do you have anybody else on your list that? And I feel like I'm surprised you have. I mean, you're going to agree with me, and you're going to probably have a very strong opinion on it too, much stronger than mine.
Well, I'll get out of the way the one band that I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention, and that's the Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, they have the name Pumpkin, and you know they have to be associated. But I don't know. I don't necessarily feel that there's much spookiness to their music per se.
Yeah, I think maybe Billy has he had the shaved head when he later, obviously, and he had the long kind of gown look, like almost like he had like the long coat look, like the kind of like a Grim Reaper maybe, and I could see it. I could see it, and I mean, some of his stuff has a lot of like, I find keyboard to be really spooky. Like I feel like
you're right. I don't think that'd be my first selection though.
No, but you're right. The name really,
you have
puts
to
them
include
up.
them.
Yeah, they run the I looked up the top shows, the top concerts that happened on Halloween, and the Smashing Pumpkins, and they were like a top 25, and the Smashing Pumpkins played on 10/31/2008, and I guess they talked about that as one of the better shows, which I found interesting.
From Halloween.
On a Halloween day. So I need to look and see why, but I found that pretty interesting. That not every band has played on Halloween, but have you ever been on a show on Halloween?
I've never been to a show on Halloween. I haven't. My personal Halloween history. Obviously, when you're a kid, you do the candy thing and everything, and then as you get older, when you're in high school, you do stupid stuff with your friends. Then when you go to college, it becomes an entirely different thing. But adult Halloween, you kind of have the option. But going to a show on Halloween, that'd be pretty cool. I guess if they played into it a little bit. But that would be a hard sell for me, just because of my feelings about the supposed holiday that it is.
Yeah, and I guess to briefly talk on this list of, who knows, there's probably a bunch of bands that have played Halloween that aren't on this, but surprisingly, it seems like Halloween is owned by the jam band scene, and a lot of these, as you go down, Government Mule was on there, you had the String Cheese Incident, and then you had Mo was number 5, then had the Grateful Dead, Widespread Panic, and they said that Fish had the best concert.
Fish are the undisputed champions. You know what? You're totally right, though. And I would say it's not even limited to Halloween, because I know, for example, New Year's Eve is owned by the jam bands.
New Year's Eve, it's owned by Fish, and I think my cousin was telling me this. I guess the Elton John used to play Times Square, or was it Billy Joel? One of those two guys played Times Square. Like they played, I think, like 8 years in a row or something like that, and I think they made a remark about Fish not like taking their spot one year or something. I don't know. Fish made a point to like play like 5. They made it a point to play there to break Elton John's record for how long he's been playing, or how many nights in a row he played. So they made it a point to break it, and they're like a staple up there, which is really interesting. Still need to go see a jam band show, I think.
Yeah, it becomes sort of a tradition. So I know more than one person who would attend every single year. New Year's Eve, Government Mule used to play at the Beacon in New York City, and I know of 2 people who went for 12, 13, 15 years in a row, and it was just what they did. So it was funny because people would say, "Oh, you're going to New York City for New Year's Eve, like you're gonna go watch the ball drop in Times Square." They're like, "Nah, man, I got a date with the mule."
Yep. And they literally, my cousin's the same way. They said they saw him, and one time he said that Fish played for 8 hours.
Wow.
8 hours on stage.
That's too much. I'm sorry.
Could you imagine, just doing
I can't.
It's hard to work for 8 hours.
Exactly. There's a reason why. There's a reason why you get a
paid
lunch
overtime
break,
after 8.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot. But no, it's interesting. I don't. It's no surprise that the jam bands have staked their claim. Especially, you get something like the Grateful Dead. Obviously, there's a lot of that. That vibe going on to it, and as we've said, I've not been to a show of theirs or Dead and Company, but
I saw the Dead had played on Halloween 13 years in their 30-year career, which is interesting because they've played almost every date, so it's kind of a fun stat. But one of my friends, they were just in New Orleans. There was a big parade, a big scary parade, and it was like, I think it had something to do with the Grateful Dead, which I think there's an underground Halloween connection to the jam bands that I don't know about, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely. Kind of with this whole conversation, we've talked about shows, we've talked about bands, we've talked about songs, but I think a couple of individuals that come to mind, if I could assemble my scariest grunge musician crew, obviously Buzz Osborne would be in there, Tad Doyle, a couple of other people that I think Mark Lanigan has a space in there. Mark Lanigan for me is just so intimidating.
Yeah, he was the guy that I was referring to when I was like, I'm surprised we haven't talked about Lanigan's music, his solo stuff, and how scary that absolutely could be. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's just more of a persona that's more this, I don't know, scariness. I haven't delved into it like you have, so you'll have more of a
and it's funny, for example, one song that comes to mind, his solo catalog is just laden with these creepy, eerie songs. But the top of the list for me is off of his Whiskey for the Holy Ghost album, which came out in '94, and it's the lead track, and it's called The River Rise, and it starts with this really, really, really eerie kind of like playground like ambient noise and somebody whistling in the background. It's really, really creepy, and I just think he's been able to inhabit that, and obviously knowing what we know about Mark, and personally having read his memoir and studied, I guess, his music and everything, he had a lot of darkness in his life, so it is, it's no surprise that it would rear its head in his music and everything. And that's for me probably just about the most real that all of anybody that we've spoken about here today, and it hits. It's like, oh, it's not just like, oh, haha, that's creepy, like they're talking about Bones, but it's just like, this is some heavy shit. And yeah, Mark is definitely in that category for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from what I know and from what you've told me about the book, which I think I need to read that at some point when I'm ready. You do. But yeah, I think that it fits that he's in the gang of ghouls of the grunge Halloween men or whatever.
Yeah, somebody else who I think would have a space would be Kim Thile from Soundgarden. There's just something about him. You just don't know sometimes.
Yeah, it's just that long black hair is scary. It's
intimidating.
He's got the shreds behind it. Yeah,
exactly. But there's definitely a good array of characters, and I guess you could throw Billy Corgan in there as well potentially. Yeah. But
I think Corgan fits. Like, think about if you did like I don't know. I mean, Corgan definitely would fit like a Halloween parade. Like, he'd be on a big pumpkin parade, and yeah, I feel like Kurt would be. He's like, I don't know 100%. Why he just fits. He fits it well.
Yeah.
Let's see who else.
It is interesting and kind of thinking back. I guess grunge maybe is a little bit more of a spooky genre than I would have previously assumed. I don't know after this conversation if I like Halloween more or less, but it would take a lot for me to like it more. But speaking of which, do you have any Halloween plans or anything exciting? Like, what is your approach to Halloween as an adult?
Well, not much. I haven't gotten too into it the past few years. I haven't tried to do too much because I don't want to, get myself in trouble, basically. I go out and I'll get tempted to do like, TP some houses or something, or I'll go and dress up and do the mask. I feel like I haven't got dressed up like all out and like done a masquerade party or something. I feel like that's what it's all about, right? You do parties where you dress up.
Yeah, I haven't dressed up for Halloween in quite a few years, and I don't know that I intend to. It's kind of funny, like Halloween comes around and everyone's like, oh, like what should we do for Halloween? It's like, I don't know, the same shit you'd normally do on a Saturday or a Sunday, or sometimes when it falls on like a Tuesday, it's like, what are you gonna do?
Oh, actually, you know what? I do have plans this weekend. Friday, I'm going to a show on Friday. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Who are you seeing?
I'm going to see Camp.
Nice.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
It's coming around, so they're playing Friday at the venue that I've been going to. I actually have an extra ticket. I always buy two, and the person that I just bought an extra ticket, so I'm actually kind of shopping around and seeing if I can find somebody to go with me. So if you're available, Chris, you want to come to Birmingham, you can come see.
Take a nice impromptu visit. Hey, I was visited in an impromptu manner this past weekend, so now I got to return the favor to somebody else, right?
Yeah. But no, I don't really. I haven't.
I don't really believe. Well, I mean, this is no surprise if you listened to the episode last week.
We're broken record right now. Yeah. We're broken record. We're just saying how we don't like Halloween, but this is our Halloween special.
I think we've probably rambled on about how much we hate Halloween long enough, but there is one thing. A great Halloween costume, and that would be a Grunge Bible supporter. And this is something that we didn't speak about at the beginning, but the merchandise orders are continuing to roll in. Actually, in the immediate aftermath of last week's podcast, we sold 4 sweatshirts that same day on Friday, and I have no doubts that's because of the podcast. And if you're ordering, keep sending us those selfies. Let us know what you got when it comes in. We want to see pictures. We want to see what you think about it, and if not, spooky season's here, cold season's here, and you definitely. I mean, I think you're all beautiful as it is, but you would definitely look better wearing some Grunge Bible apparel.
Absolutely, yeah. Make it a costume. You can be me and Chris this year.
See, that would be the pinnacle, Ethan. If somebody out there dressed up as you or as me. I don't know what else I could ask. That would get me to like Halloween because I'm a narcissist.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the Halloween portion of this episode. We did maybe a little bit more than we thought, but I hope it was entertaining nonetheless. So now we're going to move over to our final part of the podcast. What we like to do, something called Song of the Week. We're just going to make this playlist grow 2 more songs, and we'll see what we're both listening to. And Chris, I think you're going to go first today. So
All right.
Go ahead.
It has been decreed. I'm breaking the rules for Song of the Week a little bit this week in the sense that this is not really a song that I've been listening to recently. It's from a band that I'm not even really that into. And one of the bands that kind of skews on, I think the people who are big fans of this band tend to get a little possessive of this band. But it's the Song of the Week for me personally this week, just for the title of what the song is, and it is the Benz by Radiohead. I feel like I identify with that right now a little bit, having bent a little bit myself this weekend. But yeah, Radiohead's always been a band for me that I'll listen to them. I'm obviously, you have your Fake Plastic Trees of the world and your Highs and Dries of the world, and Creep and so on and so forth, and I listen to those songs. I really like those songs, and every single time I listen to those songs, I tend to make a mental note of like, hey, I want to go and listen to OK Computer front to back or something, or Kid A, whatever, what have you, and I never do it. Yeah. I just never get around to it, and I just don't. I just can't get out of the casual listening stage with Radiohead, but I don't think that's something you can force, so I always get kind of nervous about that. It's like I don't want to force myself to do it and not like it and be like, okay, well, I hate this band, and I think it has to happen organically. But who knows? Maybe after this conversation and choosing the Benz as my Song of the Week, it might prompt a deeper listen. But I did listen to the song today, and I've always liked it. It's just kind of good background music, and they were obviously very innovative and very unique as well. So a band that I would say I admire and I respect, but I don't really, I don't know enough about the band really.
Yeah, I have my boss. He actually thinks that the Benz is their best album, and he loves it. And I think that they're a band that a lot of people. They're a band that you had to grow up with. I think you had to be a part of.
Right.
I think you had to be a part of it while it was happening and see them live. And watching tape is not the same of them. Now, granted, I've never been to obviously a show, but I have. I feel like the people that were there, they find the great appreciation for it. And you're right. I've kind of tailed the same line where I've listened to the albums, but I every time that like I said, my boss talks about it, I'm like, man, I need to go listen to that album again for the same reason. It's like, did I miss something? And just need to be a little more attentive. So that's a good point. I think Radiohead, we don't talk. We post them a few times, but we haven't done like much deep dives. And I think that people probably have, would appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think one more thought about Radiohead. I think they were able to. And they certainly didn't do this knowingly, but their music, for me, kind of corners the market along with the Smashing Pumpkins on making people who weren't alive for the 1990s feel nostalgic about the 1990s. Like, for me, for example, like the song High and Dry rivals 1979 by the Pumpkins in terms of you listen to that and you just feels like it came from the 90s, and it kind of makes... I don't know. It's like this weird, like, melancholy feeling that I know 1979, I think, brings out in all of us. And High and Dry does that for me, too. And I just think any music that, produces emotion like that in somebody is powerful, and it's obviously good. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the day will come, and I know... I personally know people too who are really big Radiohead fans. And they're always like, "Oh, you gotta listen." And maybe it's like a Tool thing. Maybe I just won't be able to understand it.
Yeah. That's I definitely, the nostalgia between those two bands is pretty high. I feel that way with Smashing Pumpkins. They're like, that's kind of why I listen to the Pumpkins.
Totally.
That's when I need those feelings in my life.
Yeah, I would agree. What about you? What's your song this week?
Yeah, my song is it's a new band, a new group that I was shown, and the band is called Petey, Petey, and the song is "Don't Tell the Boys," and it's got this like he's kind of got like a punk rock type of kind of like screaming, talking voice.
Definitely
that we kind of like, where, and it's kind of a build. It's a little bit of a like, it's kind of like Tom driven at times, and kind of just like a chugging song, but then he's also kind of yelling over top of it in like a a conversation manner, and it's pretty unique, and it fills the exact, scratches the itch of that I have for music right now. So I was pretty excited. I think they just have the one album called Lean Into Life. So pretty good. I'll post it.
I'm going to check that out, because I've actually if how you described it, if I'm interpreting it correctly, I've been listening to a little bit of music like that actually lately, but more kind of on like the punk side. I've been listening to a little bit of the Wonder Years lately, and Moose Blood as well. So this sounds like it's going to be right up my alley. So
they're pretty solid. The album is the whole thing is like that. So I like awesome. It. That might wrap it up, Chris.
I think that will wrap it up. So we're sending people on their way with 2 songs. I think one most people will know very well, and then one fresh one that they may not have heard of. And that's what I like about about the pages, and certainly about this playlist and about this podcast is I think we're able to cultivate different perspectives in a variety of different genres of music, and stories and paths to get there. So at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. So, and that remains my favorite thing about this show and about the pages that we have. But Ethan, as always, it's a pleasure to go on that journey with you, and to everyone who has taken the time to listen. It is a joy to spend this hour or so with you every week.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, guys. We love you all. Thank you so much, and have a great Halloween. Have a great Halloween. That's exactly right. We'll see you guys on Monday.
Safe holidays, everybody. Take care. Rock and roll.
Happy Halloween.